Then she calls me with the results from the ultrasound, and she tells me, there's something blocking your ovary. And I'm like, hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kendra, and today I have a story time for you guys. Today's story time is a little bit of a touchy subject because I've never shared anything publicly, but I feel like before Women's Month is over, it is very important to share. And I've seen other women share their stories on TikTok, and there was this one TikTok in particular that really struck me. And so I'm gonna jump right in. I'm gonna make this as swiftly as possible. Hopefully this video is not too long because I am a chatterbox. This video is about the first time I went to the GYN and how my first visit to the GYN turned into months of agony and stress. It was crazy, and actually now a lifelong thing. To start off, I'm gonna give some backstory so you guys understand, and if you guys have any other questions, then maybe I can do a part 2. So I was very scared to go to the gynecologist because I hear horror stories, right? A lot of women say that it hurts, they bleed and yada yada yada. Like, it's not really a good experience, especially like your first time. Like, it's very invasive. And so I remember my mom was telling me too that I shouldn't go to the GYN if I was not sexually active yet. That's a whole nother like realm. That's a whole nother realm of like beliefs and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna get too much into that, but I was just scared to go to the GYN. So as a kid and a teenager, I did not go to the GYN, but I did have bleeding in between or spotting in between my periods. So it was kind of like, what's going on? Maybe it's just stress or whatever. And I did have a doctor that around like, I think I was like 16. I had a male doctor because I had a really terrible doctor experience like elementary years, and that's a whole nother story time. But I switched to a male doctor like when I was about 15, 16, I think. And then when I told him that, he said, yeah, you definitely got to get to the gynecologist. And my mom didn't enforce it, because I still wasn't sexually active. So she was just like, if you want to, but I thought you weren't supposed to, there's such a lack of education when it comes to women's health and everything. But again, that's for another day. That's the topic for another day. Long story short, when I became sexually active, I still did not go to the GYN. I became sexually active when I was like 20 years old. And the first time I went to the GYN was when I was 27 years old. So it took me a while, but I finally had to get there because around 27, that's when I was contemplating, getting into those childbearing years and stuff. Like, I may want to have a kid soon, so let's go see what's going on. So finally I go to the GYN and I tell her like, yeah, I've been spotting in between my periods, but this has been happening for a long time. Like, I'm fine. I have regular periods. Everything is fine. I get really bad cramps sometimes. Like, I've had terrible cramps, I tell her this, and she was like, it was like a clinic that kind of has every doctor that you can like think of in the same clinic. So she was like, okay, so I'm just gonna send you for a vaginal ultrasound like right now because you could just get it done now. And I was like, okay, that's fine, whatever. So this was already a lot for me, right? My first visit, not only am I like, somebody's like doing the pap smear and everything, which, by the way, the pap smear did not hurt at all. The pap smear did not bother me at all. To this day, every pap smear that I've gotten have not bothered me. I don't feel anything. It doesn't feel like anything. It doesn't bother me at all. I do think it depends on when you go, like where you are in your cycle too, because that could possibly hurt you. But anyway, that's another thing. I had to go get a whole vaginal ultrasound, which that is very freaking intrusive. Like, a pap smear is intrusive, but a vaginal ultrasound, that's a lot. That's really a lot, especially for my first visit ever at the GYN. I get my results a couple days later. Pap smear is all good. Everything looks good. Then she calls me with the results from the ultrasound, and she tells me, there's something blocking your ovary. And I'm like, I'm starting to get a little anxious because this happened in 2021, by the way. This was a very traumatic fucking year. And the only reason I ended up going to the GYN, I will backtrack to that real quick. The only reason I ended up going to the GYN was because I started having panic attacks February. I started having panic attacks in February. Never really had a panic attack ever in my life. I thought I was, and it was actually anxiety. Never had a panic attack until then. So I was like, I have to go to the doctor because something is wrong. So I went to the regular doctor and then finally to the GYN. She's like, yeah, there's something blocking your ovary. There's like a mass or something. We don't know what it is. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what it is? And she's like, no, we don't know what it is, but it's measuring like 4 centimeters. And I would advise you to be basically bedridden. Like, I kept asking all kinds of questions. I'm like, what do you mean bedridden? Like, I was just working out like 2-3 days ago, because as soon as I had the panic attack, I was like, okay, I have to get my health better because obviously I'm not being good to my body. I was just working out 2 days ago. I should be fine. I just don't understand. Like, what do you mean? She's like, no, you have to like be careful because this mass, we don't know what it is. It could possibly twist and then you lose a fallopian tube, then you lose an ovary. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. First time, right? This is my first rodeo with the gynecologist. What do you mean? This is a lot. This is a lot. I've never even, like, when I think about GYN, well, when I thought about GYN in the past, all I thought about was like, okay, STDs and cervical cancer, whatever, right? Like the stuff that I thought you'd go to the GYN for. I never knew anything else about going to the GYN. Like, for what? Like, she was like, yeah, we also have to make sure it's not malignant or anything. And when she said malignant, I just froze because I'm like, what is that? Like, you mean cancer? Like, that's intense. Like, and she was saying this so frivolously. And then I couldn't get an MRI done fast enough. Like, I think like a month or two went by because when I was like 7, I literally almost died. I had an allergic reaction to penicillin. All of these places that were doing ultrasounds and sonograms and all these things, they were scared to take me for an MRI because the contrast thing, like they were like, yeah, you shouldn't have it because you had a whatever kind of reaction. So I was like, whatever. It was a long time before I could get an appointment. It literally was like a month or two. So this whole time I was just bedridden with anxiety and stress, thinking like, what the hell is on my ovary? Like, what is that? And finally I go in for an MRI. She tells me, oh, you have like chocolate cysts and you have fibroids. And I'm like, by the way, she did say that on the first visit too, but the first visit back when she called me in for the results for the ultrasound, she did tell me I had a polyp, fibroid, like just everything. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I had no idea that any of this was a thing. And I felt so like blindsided because no woman in my family has ever talked to me about these things. Like, not cysts, not fibroids, not anything other than don't get pregnant, don't get pregnant, don't get pregnant, don't have sex, be careful. You know, like all the stupid stuff. Like, well, it wasn't stupid, but like these are important things to talk about too. Like, I wish I had more information about this. And I feel like there's a lot of women that just don't know about like all the kind of conditions that you can have. And if your period is very painful, then that's not fucking normal. Like, you know, that's not even talked about. It's just, anywho, about to go on a rant. When I got the MRI, it was like, you have cysts on your ovaries and then you have fibroids and blah, blah, blah. And then she thought I had endometriosis. At the time when I got the results back, she was telling me, yeah, because you have chocolate cysts, you might have endometriosis. I'd suggest you go to NYU for whatever, whatever, whatever. And I'm like, I was just so grateful that it wasn't anything bad. I'm like, with endometriosis, okay, I can deal with that. I've heard of endometriosis. I can deal with that. But you don't understand what I just went through in the last like month or two of you just telling me all these possible things that could have been gone wrong. Basically, I ended up going to a whole nother doctor because I wanted a whole second opinion because I didn't like the way this first doctor handled things. Like, she instilled so much fear into me that I didn't move. I didn't do anything. And she did tell me I couldn't move. And it was just like, it was not handled in the way that I would like. Not for me. That's not the doctor for me. I have too much anxiety, and I went to the doctor because I was having panic attacks. You know what I mean? Like, it was such a bad combination of things happening all at the same time. It was a lot. So I was just so grateful that it wasn't worse than what she said, that I waited a little bit and then finally made an appointment with another doctor. And now I'm in the space of, since 2021, because that was the first time I went to the GYN, I've just been getting vaginal sonograms like every couple of months to keep track of the fibroids. I do not have endometriosis. At least I was not diagnosed with that. I just have cysts that come and go kind of thing. I do not have PCOS. I'm going to knock on wood for all of these because I'm very superstitious about those things. But thank God, I'm pretty healthy. I just have fibroids, and fibroids could get out of hand. Let me not, I had to just get an MRI. Actually, that's what my video, when I said I had to get an MRI, that's what I had to get an MRI for, to make sure that because the ultrasound showed that it kind of grew rapidly. So again, I had another like possible malignant scare. So they throw that word around so like frivolously, and it's crazy. This time wasn't as bad though because I was prepared. It wasn't like the first time I went to the GYN. I've been going through this, but yeah, so I've just been having to get them checked and everything. And I'm kind of in the process of, should I just get them removed or should I just leave them and kind of try to minimize them? Because I've seen diets and stuff and I've been taking care of myself ever since. So I've been a lot better health wise. And that is why, because I realized like, obviously besides my weight gain, like I didn't see anything was wrong with me. Like my health is good, like my general health is good. My periods could be better and they have gotten better since I've been taking care of myself. So that was my story. That was pretty much my story, and I wanted to share it because one, I remember seeing I think she was a YouTuber. I can't recall her name. I wasn't a subscriber or anything, but I seen her face before. Passed away. I think it was last year around this time, around March, because I remember it was Women's Month, and I was like, that's insane. And it was like her fibroids got mistaken for like a cancerous tumor or whatever it was, and she passed away because she was misdiagnosed. And that really struck a chord for me because I'm like, there's just so many women that don't know about these things, and I just feel like the lack of education when it comes to women's health is like just insane. Again, there's just so much more that I can say because women are constantly neglected in the doctor. And if you're a woman of color, then Lord knows you have to like beg and beg and beg for tests to get done and find the right doctors. I've been lucky to have some good doctors. I saw another TikTok recently where a young girl, she's in her 20s, and she had to get everything removed because her fibroid was just too big, or was it a cyst? I can't remember. It's just saddens me that I didn't learn until 27, until I went to the GYN myself, that these things were a very important thing to discuss or even know about and to keep an eye out for. So I just felt so much for the people, for the women on TikTok, like, I'm scared, I'm 27 and I still haven't gone to the GYN, or I'm in my, whatever, mid to late 20s, I still haven't gone to the GYN. And it's just like, I was there, and I, gratefully so, my story is not a bad ending. Like, it's not something where it's just like, but I was traumatized in like a lot of ways. I've been traumatized, and it was such a hard time, and I just don't wish that on anybody. And I just hope that this could bring some sort of awareness. I know that I have a lot of male followers too, so if you have women in your life that you love and care about, like, talk to them about this. Why not have an open conversation about it? Because it is so important, and you don't realize that something that you don't even think about could just come out of the blue and just like change your life around, basically. Yeah, I think I did well getting through that story. I hope you guys learned something new today when it comes to this topic. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys stayed for this entire time, thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate it. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below, DM me, private message me somewhere. Like, I am totally open to talk about this topic now. I'm ready to talk about it. It's a better, an easier time. So I'm ready to talk about it. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Love y'all.